They came to mourn their dead child. What the humans did changed the galaxy forever. They had traveled far from their home world, carrying grief heavier than any burden they had ever known. They were here for a single purpose: to mourn their dead child. The humans had been informed, and they had expected polite words, maybe a formal ceremony. They did not expect what was coming. John Carter, a human diplomat, waited at the spaceport. He was not tall or particularly strong, but his calm presence seemed to fill the large hall. Beside him, Lisa Morrow, the head of the Human Memorial Council, adjusted her simple uniform. She had prepared for many official ceremonies before, but this was different. This time, humans were not there to celebrate or show power. This time, they were there to grieve with another species. As the Velari stepped out of their ship, their pale, elongated faces and soft blue eyes drew attention. They moved carefully, their movements slow, almost ritualistic. Each carried a small container. Inside was the memory crystal of their child, Elian. The crystal held the essence of their child's life, a glowing fragment that vibrated softly. It was a treasure, a burden, and a source of deep sorrow. John stepped forward and bowed slightly, a human gesture of respect he had learned for aliens who valued ritual. The Velari did not bow in return. They observed quietly, waiting to see if humans understood the depth of loss. A silence settled over the hall, heavy and complete. Even the hovering lights seemed to dim, as if the building itself respected the grief. Lisa spoke gently. Her voice was soft, but it carried across the space. "We are here with you," she said. "Your loss is ours to share." The Velari elders blinked slowly. They had expected words that would be polite, hollow, and quick. Humans did not speak like that. They did not hurry. They waited. The Velari led their crystal to the memorial hall humans had prepared. It was simple but elegant. A small garden had been built inside the massive hall, with soft green plants, water flowing over smooth stones, and light carefully tuned to give the place a warm glow. It smelled faintly of flowers, but not in an overpowering way. Humans had built it for this moment, for one child they had never met. John and Lisa followed silently. Behind them, assistants carried items of the human mourning tradition. Small handmade tokens, flowers, drawings from children, and messages of hope. All of it was meant to show that humans recognized the value of life, even a life they had never touched. The Velari elders paused at the garden. One of them, an elder named Vashir, lowered his container slowly. The crystal glowed brighter, as if sensing its first steps in a new world. Vashir's voice was soft but filled with centuries of tradition. "Elian," he said, naming the child aloud for the first time outside their world. "We come to mourn, we expect ceremony, we expect silence." He looked at the humans, his eyes searching for understanding. John stepped forward, kneeling slightly. He placed his hand gently on the edge of the crystal container. "Elian will be remembered," he said. "We cannot bring your child back, but we can honor them as if they were our own." Lisa joined him, her hand hovering just above his, not touching the crystal, respecting the Velari's customs. The Velari were confused. Humans did not follow rigid rules. Humans did not perform mourning only for their own kind. They listened. They felt. Vashir tilted his head, studying John and Lisa. "You grieve for one you have never known?" he asked. John nodded. "We grieve for all innocent lives taken. Your loss is ours to carry. We hope that sharing it will bring some peace." The words were simple, but they carried weight. For the first time, the Velari felt the human sorrow. It was not loud or showy. It was quiet, steady, and deep. The Velari led the crystal to a central pedestal in the garden. As they placed it down, children from nearby human neighborhoods entered quietly. They had not been told why they were here, only that they could leave small messages of hope. They placed small stones, drawings, and notes beside the crystal. Some wrote their names, some wrote simple words like peace or love. One small girl named Claire drew a picture of a spaceship with a child waving from the window. She smiled faintly and whispered, "I hope Elian is happy wherever they are." The Velari did not move. Their eyes watched the humans carefully. This was not a display for them. This was genuine. Humans were not afraid of grief. They did not hide it. They embraced it. Vashir's shoulders relaxed slightly, though his expression remained reserved. He had seen centuries of human ambassadors, traders, and negotiators. He had never seen this before. The day passed slowly. Humans and Velari moved together in the garden. They shared silence, they shared tears, and they shared soft words. John told stories about human children who had been lost to accidents, illnesses, and wars. Lisa described how humans kept memories alive with small rituals, planting trees, writing songs, and keeping drawings. She spoke of hope and remembrance, never of revenge. The Velari listened, amazed by the simplicity and honesty. By evening, the hall was filled with glowing lights and gentle music. Humans had activated soft sound devices, playing natural sounds, wind through trees, water flowing, birds singing. It was meant to soothe, but it did not hide grief. It only made it easier to sit with sorrow. The Velari sat, a rare display of rest. Centuries of training did not prepare them for a ritual that felt so personal, so human. Vashir finally spoke. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "Humans grieve in ways we do not understand," he said to the other elders. "They honor life as if every life is a thread in the galaxy. Perhaps we have misunderstood them." Another elder, far older, named Celira, nodded slowly. "This is not weakness," she said. "It is strength in a way we have never seen." John noticed the shift. He did not speak of power or politics. He simply stayed near the Velari, listening. Sometimes he asked gentle questions about Elian, about the Velari's life, their home. Other times he sat quietly, letting silence speak. Lisa moved among the Velari and humans alike, guiding children and visitors, making sure no one felt out of place. As the night deepened, the Velari stood at the edge of the garden, looking at the stars through the glass ceiling. They had traveled across light years of space to mourn a single child, and they had found something unexpected. Humans were not just strong in war or industry. They were strong in compassion. They could feel loss as deeply as the Velari, yet they did not crumble. Vashir turned to John and Lisa. "We expected formality," he said. "We expected words that would end quickly. Instead, you have shared grief. Our child is dead, yet somehow in this moment we do not feel alone." John nodded, smiling faintly. "We cannot undo the past," he said, "but we can face it together." Lisa added, "Grief shared is lighter, sorrow seen is honored." The Velari elders agreed to remain for the full mourning cycle. Humans would stay with them, quietly present, showing care in ways that did not require ceremony, only sincerity. And in the quiet moments, as stars shone above and lights reflected in the flowing water of the garden, the Velari began to understand something new. Humans were different from what the galaxy believed. They were not only capable of love, but of acting on it in ways the universe had rarely seen. Outside, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter that night. Ships from other systems hovered in distant orbits, curious about the unusual gathering on this human world. Rumors would spread quickly. The Velari were not alone, and humans were not like other species. The galaxy was about to notice. Inside the garden, a small child named Claire sat beside the crystal, holding a stone she had painted herself. She whispered again, "We will remember you, Elian, always." No one corrected her. Even the Velari bowed slightly, touched by the simple human words. In that moment, a bridge formed between species, fragile but real, built on sorrow, respect, and the simple desire to honor life. As the first part of the mourning ended, the Velari began to relax in a way they never had among aliens. They did not yet trust humans fully. Trust was slow for their kind, but they could feel the difference. These humans grieved not for power, not for politics, not for reputation. They grieved for life itself. And in that quiet understanding, the first seeds of a change that would ripple across the galaxy were planted. The night passed with soft lights, flowing water, and quiet hearts. The humans left only when the Velari indicated they wished for solitude. John and Lisa stayed at the edge of the hall, watching, feeling honored to be witnesses. The Velari elders, though still reserved, nodded their appreciation. It was a beginning, a start of a story that neither side could yet fully imagine. And above all, the child Elian's crystal glowed softly, a reminder that even in death, life could inspire unity, hope, and change. The galaxy had not yet noticed, but the humans were showing a new kind of strength, one that would not be forgotten. The next morning, the Velari woke early. Even in mourning, they followed a strict routine. Their bodies and minds demanded precision, order, and ritual. Humans moved differently. They walked slowly, spoke softly, and paused to notice small details. A human gardener named Claire Ellis tended the flowers around the memorial hall, adjusting petals and leaves with care. The Velari watched, puzzled. Why would humans focus on such small things when the galaxy was full of large concerns? John Carter and Lisa Morrow arrived before the Velari gathered. They had prepared a quiet program for the day. There were no speeches, no ceremonies, only actions that honored life. Humans from nearby neighborhoods brought food, clean water, and soft blankets for the Velari. Some carried handmade tokens for Elian. The Velari observed in silence, unused to this kind of attention. On their planet, grief was often private, ritualized, and distant from daily life. Here, humans made mourning part of the living world. As the Velari entered the garden, they noticed something unusual. Small human children approached slowly, holding stones, flowers, and pieces of colored cloth. They had not been told about Elian's death, only that they could show care. One boy named Ethan Knox knelt beside the crystal, whispered a word they did not understand, and placed a smooth blue stone near it. Another girl, named Mia Ford, drew a small picture of a spaceship, a smiling child waving from a window. The Velari elders stiffened. They had expected solemn adults, careful rituals, not children who acted freely. Vashir, the oldest elder, asked John quietly, "These children, why are they here? They do not know Elian. They cannot understand death." John smiled gently. "They do not need to understand death," he replied. "They understand care. They understand that life matters. Honoring life is not only for those who grieve deeply, it is for all who wish to show respect." Lisa added, "Humans learn empathy young. It is how we survive together." The Velari looked at each other, confused and skeptical. For centuries, their species had assumed that only those who lost could truly mourn. Here, humans shared sorrow for a life they had never touched. Celira, another elder, whispered, "This is strange. It is not weakness, but it is not like us." Throughout the day, humans and Velari worked together. John guided the elders through the garden, explaining the meaning of each token. Flowers represented hope. Stones represented strength. Drawings from children represented memory. Small gifts and objects from humans were meant to honor Elian's life, not to show pity. Humans wanted the Velari to see that grief could be active, expressed through simple acts that made the world a little better. A human doctor named Adam Cole approached the Velari elders. He had studied alien species and their cultures, but nothing had prepared him for the depth of this interaction. "In human culture," he explained carefully, "we grieve all innocent deaths. It does not matter if the person is ours or not. If life is lost, we honor it. If a child is harmed, we feel the loss as if it were our own." Vashir's pale hands clenched slightly. "Even for aliens?" he asked. Adam nodded. "Especially for aliens, every life matters, every loss shapes us. It is not about power, it is about compassion." The Velari elders exchanged glances. This was not a concept they understood easily. Compassion existed in their world, but it was often tied to loyalty, family, or political alliances. Humans showed compassion freely, without expectation. It was a new kind of power, subtle but undeniable. Throughout the day, children continued to arrive. Some brought drawings of stars and planets, imagining a happy place for Elian. Others sang soft songs in simple human languages. The Velari observed quietly, but their expressions softened. This was not a performance. This was genuine. Humans did not perform for recognition. They performed for life itself. John and Lisa took time to explain small rituals. Planting a tree, tying ribbons, writing short notes. The Velari watched as the humans led children in planting tiny saplings around the crystal pedestal. Each child whispered a word or phrase as they planted. Some said peace, some said joy, some said remember. Each word added to the quiet energy of the garden. Vashir realized that humans turned mourning into something alive, not just a memory. It was a way to create a future that honored the past. By afternoon, word of the unusual ceremony spread beyond the local human population. Humans from nearby colonies traveled to witness the mourning, quietly, respectfully. They brought simple gifts, soft music, and small tokens for the child. Even humans who did not know Elian personally felt compelled to honor the life taken. The Velari were astonished. They had assumed that humans would show grief only for their own. Instead, humans grieved for any life they considered innocent. The Velari elders walked through the garden slowly. Celira touched a small stone left by a human child. It was cool and smooth. "We expected empty words," she whispered. "Instead, humans act. They show care." Vashir nodded. "This is different from any other species," he admitted. "They are stronger in ways we cannot measure." As night approached, John and Lisa led the Velari to a quiet observation area. They could see the stars through the clear dome above. The human children had already left, but their tokens remained. The glowing crystal of Elian rested in the center, surrounded by stones, flowers, and small saplings. John spoke softly. "The galaxy will notice this," he said. "It may not understand yet, but your child has inspired more than grief. It has inspired action." Lisa added, "Humans do not grieve in private. We make it part of life. The galaxy is full of sorrow. We hope that sharing it will make it easier to bear." Vashir stared at the crystal. "We have traveled across light years expecting ceremony, words, and formality," he said. "We did not expect this. Humans grieve differently. They turn mourning into life itself." Celira placed her hand lightly on Vashir's shoulder. "Perhaps there is wisdom in their ways, not weakness, not frivolous sentiment, real wisdom." As the Velari elders considered these words, a small human girl named Claire returned quietly. She carried a new drawing. It showed a tree growing tall among stars, with a small spaceship resting beneath it. She placed the drawing near the crystal and whispered, "Grow happy, Elian. We will remember you." Vashir watched her and felt something he could not name. It was not sorrow. It was not anger. It was a strange warmth, an understanding of life he had never known. Humans had taught him something in a single day. Grief could create connection, hope, and change. In the quiet night, the Velari reflected on the day. They had expected humans to offer hollow condolences, a brief ceremony, and polite words. Instead, humans had offered understanding, shared sorrow, and simple acts of care. The elders realized that humans were not only capable of feeling deeply, but they could turn that feeling into action that influenced others. John and Lisa stayed nearby, silent witnesses to the change. They did not explain or lecture. They simply let the Velari see, feel, and learn. It was the human way: show, do, and let understanding grow naturally. Outside, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. Rumors of the unusual mourning were already spreading across nearby systems. Some aliens dismissed it as curiosity. Others began to wonder about humans and their strange, powerful ways. Inside the garden, Elian's crystal glowed softly, surrounded by tokens of care from humans and small gestures from the Velari. It was a simple scene, but it carried weight far beyond its size. It was the start of something larger, something that would ripple through the galaxy quietly but forever. And as the night deepened, the Velari understood that humans grieved not to show weakness, but to honor life. Each small act, each quiet gesture, each shared moment of sorrow was a seed, and seeds once planted could grow into forests. As the Velari slept that night, they felt a strange sense of calm. Grief was still heavy. The loss of Elian still burned in their hearts. But now humans were beside them. Humans who did not fear sorrow, who did not avoid pain, who shared life even in the shadow of death. And in that simple act of presence, the first true bridge between two species began to form. The galaxy did not yet understand. It would take time, but already in small systems nearby, whispers spread. Humans grieve differently. Humans care differently. Humans act when others only speak. The Velari would carry that lesson home. And the galaxy would notice after the mourning ceremony. Humans began quietly investigating the border incident that had caused Elian's death. No one announced their plans publicly. The Velari watched with curiosity. Humans were calm, almost patient, but there was a subtle determination in their movements. John Carter and Lisa Morrow moved alongside a human officer named Kyle Benson, who had been tasked with finding the truth. Kyle was methodical, examining starship logs, communication transcripts, and satellite footage from the border zone. He did not rush. He did not speculate. He only collected facts. Vashir and Celira, the Velari elders, observed from a distance. They expected humans to react with anger or revenge. In their own world, such a death would trigger swift retribution, fleets would move, and worlds could burn. But humans did not act like that. Humans did not display immediate fury. They listened, they studied, and they waited. It unsettled the Velari. Kyle worked late into the night. He discovered a hidden communication channel that revealed the truth. The border incident had not been an accident. A powerful alliance of neighboring systems had used Elian's transport as bait. Their goal was to provoke the Velari into retaliation, to start a war they could control. The evidence was clear, undeniable, and chilling. The next morning, Kyle presented his findings to John and Lisa. They wanted to use the child, he said quietly, anger hidden behind his professional tone. It was calculated. They expected the Velari to react violently. They expected war. John nodded slowly. We need to tell the Velari, he said, but carefully. They must see the truth themselves, Lisa agreed. We cannot lie or soften it. They will see through it. But we can show them that humans act differently, that we do not respond with immediate destruction but with measured justice. When the Velari elders arrived at the memorial hall, John and Lisa were waiting. Kyle stepped forward, showing the evidence. Starship logs, recordings of the communications, and strategic plans of the Alliance were displayed in a quiet room. The Velari leaned close, pale faces tense. Celira touched the edge of a holoscreen, her fingers trembling slightly. So, our child was used as a tool, she whispered. Kyle nodded. Yes, and they expected retaliation. They expected war. They did not expect humans to act with patience and protection. Vashir's hands clenched into fists. We should destroy them, he said. Their fleets, their worlds. No other punishment is enough for such a crime. John stepped forward carefully. That is one way, he said, but it is not the human way. Humans do not act out of anger alone. We act to protect, to prevent further harm. We will hold them accountable, but we will not let rage guide us. Our goal is justice, not revenge. The Velari were silent. The concept was foreign to them. In their culture, betrayal like this demanded immediate and total response. Humans, however, spoke of law, protection, and consequences. It was a different kind of power, a quiet, deliberate force that did not rely on destruction. Lisa continued, we have already taken steps. Fleets have been positioned near the Alliance systems. We will disable their weapons and prevent further attacks. No innocent life will be harmed. We will show strength, but we will not destroy worlds. Vashir blinked slowly. You act against them, yet you spare their people, John nodded. Yes, harming innocents will not bring Alian back. It will only continue the cycle of grief. Humans believe that strength lies in protecting the innocent, not in punishing blindly. The Velari elders discussed among themselves. Celira spoke softly. We came expecting ritual, words, and tradition. Instead, humans offer understanding and action. Even in the face of betrayal, they choose restraint. Is this courage? John smiled faintly. It is more than courage. It is wisdom. Power is not just in fleets or weapons. It is in choices. It is in knowing when to act and when to wait. The galaxy has underestimated humans for centuries, but this is one way we show our strength. As the Velari absorbed the truth, humans began to take visible steps. Fleets moved with precision, disabling the weapons of the Alliance ships without harming crews. Communication systems were jammed to prevent further provocations. The galaxy watched in astonishment. The Alliance had expected chaos, war, and revenge. Instead, they faced humans who acted decisively, but with careful control. John and Lisa guided the Velari through each step. They showed them how humans could protect life without resorting to destruction. Vashir was amazed. We have always thought power is measured by destruction, he said. But humans measure power by what they protect. Celira added quietly, and they do not grieve alone. They use grief to guide their actions, not blind them. During the investigation, humans also discovered small details about the child's death. Alian's transport had been sabotaged, but the plan had failed in unexpected ways. The child had shown bravery in the final moments, protecting others on board. The Velari elders learned this with quiet pride and sorrow. Alian's courage was honored by humans through simple gestures, messages of remembrance, planting trees, and small acts of charity in the child's name. Kyle explained each detail carefully. Your child did not die unnoticed. Humans honor life in ways that echo across worlds. Alian's memory is becoming a force for protection, not vengeance. Vashir felt something he had never experienced before, a mix of grief and hope. Grief for the child lost, but hope that the death could inspire something greater. Celira nodded in agreement. This is different from our customs, she said. We expected anger, conflict, and war. Humans, they transform grief into action that benefits all. John and Lisa watched the Velari closely. They did not force understanding. They allowed the elders to see, to feel, and to learn. It was a patient approach, one that contrasted sharply with the usual galactic methods of swift retaliation. The Velari began to understand the subtle strength of humans, the ability to act with justice, to feel deeply, and to channel grief into protection rather than destruction. As the investigation progressed, humans and Velari worked together to create safe zones near the border systems. Civilians of all species were evacuated. Medical ships were positioned to assist anyone in need. Even the Alliance forces who had orchestrated the death were offered a chance to surrender before any decisive action was taken. Humans did not seek punishment for punishment's sake. They sought to prevent further loss of life. Vashir watched the humans coordinate everything with calm efficiency. He had witnessed fleets, strategies, and wars, but never with such precision combined with empathy. We have underestimated humans, he said. They are not reckless. They are not driven only by pride or fear. They are something else. Celira placed her hand on the crystal of Alian. And they mourn as they act, she said. Their grief becomes a force, not a burden. John approached them quietly. Humans believe that protecting life is the greatest honor, he said. Alian's memory will guide us, and through our actions, the galaxy will see that humans do not act blindly. We act with purpose. The Alliance, realizing they could not provoke humans into war, tried to negotiate, but humans held firm. Their terms were simple: Stop endangering innocent lives, face accountability, and never use children or civilians as tools of politics. They offered no threats, no ultimatums, only firm insistence. The galaxy watched in awe as humans displayed restraint paired with decisive power. The Velari elders finally spoke. "We came expecting mourning," Vashir said, "and we found judgment, strength, and protection. Humans do not grieve in silence. They act, and in their actions they honor life. Perhaps this is the true measure of power," Selira added. "Our child's death has sparked something we could not imagine. Humans have shown us that grief can be more than sorrow. It can be a force that changes the galaxy." By the end of the week, the border systems were secure. No further attacks occurred. Civilians were safe. The Alliance leaders, humbled and frightened, agreed to human oversight of all future border negotiations. Humans did not gloat. They did not celebrate. They simply ensured that life was protected, that no child would be used as bait again. The Velari observed quietly, slowly understanding that humans were unlike any species they had met. They were not easily broken. They were capable of feeling deeply, yet acting with restraint. Their strength was not measured by fleets or weapons alone, but by the choices they made in the face of sorrow and betrayal. As night fell over the memorial hall, the Velari returned to the garden. The crystal of Elian glowed softly among the saplings and tokens placed by humans. The elders touched it gently. "Our child has inspired not only grief," Selira said, "but protection, justice, and hope." Vashir nodded. "Humans have shown us a new way. We came to mourn, but we are leaving with understanding. Humans do not act like the galaxy expects. They act like guardians." John and Lisa stood nearby, silently watching. No words were needed. The lesson had been learned. The Velari understood. Humans grieved, but they also acted. Grief became a guiding force, shaping decisions, saving lives, and teaching the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. And in that quiet night, the memory of Elian shone brighter than ever. Not just as a child lost, but as a symbol of what humans could do. Transform sorrow into strength, grief into action, and tragedy into hope. The galaxy was beginning to change. One careful, deliberate choice at a time. After the truth about Elian's death became clear, humans began taking careful steps to ensure such tragedies would not happen again. Fleets were positioned near border systems, but not for war. They were there to protect civilians and young lives from any harm. Humans called these zones child protection areas. No species had ever seen anything like this. They were areas where no weapon could be used, where no political battle could endanger the innocent, and where humans would respond immediately to any threat. John Carter explained the plan to the Velari elders. "These zones will protect all children," he said. "Not just human children, not just Velari children. Every life will be safe. We will not allow anyone to use children as tools of war again." Vashir tilted his head, watching John carefully. "This is unusual," he said. "You act as if children are more important than politics." John nodded. "They are. Politics, power, and war are meaningless if the innocent cannot survive. We will act to protect life first, and everything else comes second." The Velari elders discussed among themselves. Selira spoke quietly. "We expected revenge. We expected fleets moving to destroy those who wronged us. Instead, humans act to defend. Their strength lies not in destruction, but in protection." Lisa Morrow led the Velari through the first protected system. It was calm, almost peaceful. Humans had evacuated dangerous areas and built shelters for civilians. Medical ships hovered above populated planets, ready to respond instantly. Schools, parks, and homes were safe. Humans were not just reacting to danger, they were anticipating it. As the Velari observed, they noticed something remarkable. The civilians from multiple species, even those who had once been hostile to humans, were grateful. They did not fear humans as many had expected. Instead, they trusted them. The humans did not conquer. They did not dominate. They defended, quietly and efficiently. A young human officer named Emma Brooks explained the rules to the Velari. Any child endangered in these zones triggers immediate action, she said. We respond with restraint, but we respond decisively. Our goal is life, not destruction. If someone breaks the rules, we will stop them without harming innocents. Vashir was astonished. Your actions are strong, yet careful, he said. We thought strength meant total control or punishment. You show strength through restraint and protection. Emma smiled gently. Sometimes the greatest power is the ability to hold back and choose wisely. As the days passed, the humans' actions began to ripple across nearby systems. Word spread quickly. Humans were different. They did not seek revenge. They did not destroy entire fleets for a single offense. Instead, they acted to save lives, to protect the innocent, and to ensure that no child would suffer because of politics. The alliance responsible for Elian's death tried to challenge human actions. They sent fleets to test human response, hoping to provoke violence. The humans did not attack blindly. They disabled the weapons of the alliance ships, forced them to retreat, and ensured no civilians were harmed. The galaxy watched in astonishment. No one had ever seen such power used so carefully. John and Lisa guided the Velari elders through each response. They showed them how humans could stop aggression without destruction. Vashir observed quietly, realizing that humans had found a balance that the Velari could not imagine. Absolute protection without cruelty, strength without needless violence. During one critical operation, a small fleet from the Alliance attempted to enter a protected zone near a human colony. Medical ships and protective shields had already been deployed. Human fleets intercepted the aggressors, disabling weapons and communications, but leaving crews unharmed. The Velari watched in awe. Humans did not celebrate victory. They simply ensured the zone was secure and returned to protect civilians. Celira whispered, "We came expecting mourning. Instead, we see action. Humans do not act like any species we know. They turn grief into protection, sorrow into strength." As humans continued their work, they also maintained the memorial for Elian. Children and adults alike visited, leaving drawings, flowers, and small tokens. The Velari participated, placing new saplings and stones near the glowing crystal. It became more than a memorial. It became a symbol of hope, safety, and action across the galaxy. John spoke to the Velari elders one evening. "Your child's memory has inspired change," he said. "The galaxy is beginning to understand that humans do not act for power alone. We act for life. Every choice we make is measured by how it affects the innocent." Vashir nodded slowly. "Your methods are difficult to understand, yet undeniable. We have studied humans for centuries, yet we underestimated you. Now we see your strength is more than weapons. It is in restraint, judgment, and protection." As the galaxy watched, humans continued to expand their protective influence. New child protection zones were created across multiple star systems. Civilians of all species knew they could find safety under human watch. Children who had once lived in fear of war or exploitation now played openly, knowing humans were there to defend them. The Velari elders, once skeptical, began to speak of humans with respect. "They honor life in ways we cannot measure," Celira said. "Our child's death was tragedy, yet humans turned it into a force that saves others. This is power beyond fleets or weapons." John and Lisa guided the Velari through the systems, showing them examples of humans' protective actions. They witnessed children rescued from dangerous planets, sick civilians treated by medical ships, and hostile forces stopped without harm to innocents. The Velari began to understand that humans' power was measured not by destruction, but by the lives they preserved. During a council meeting with multiple alien species, Emma Brooks addressed the galaxy. She spoke simply but firmly. "Humans do not seek revenge. We do not act to dominate. Our mission is protection. Harming a child or any innocent life will be met with decisive action. We do not destroy worlds, we defend life. This is the strength of humanity." The council was stunned. No species had ever spoken with such authority, restraint, and clarity. Whispers spread throughout the galaxy. Humans act differently. Humans are powerful. Humans do not kill recklessly. Humans protect. The Velari returned to their memorial garden. Elian's crystal glowed softly among the trees, stones, and tokens. Vashir placed a hand lightly on the pedestal. "We have learned from humans," he said. "They are strong, yet careful. They act decisively, yet with restraint. Our child's death has changed not only humans, but us as well." Selira nodded. "This is the beginning. Humans will continue to influence the galaxy not with war, but with protection. They show us that grief can be a force that saves lives, not destroys them." John and Lisa stood quietly, observing the Velari. They did not speak. They did not need to. The lesson had been learned. Grief had been transformed into action. Sorrow had become strength. And through careful, deliberate steps, humans had changed the way the galaxy would measure power. As night fell over the memorial garden, the stars above reflected in the water flowing gently among the trees. Humans and Velari alike sat quietly, reflecting on the day's events. The galaxy had already begun to change. Systems that once feared humans now respected them. Alliances that once ignored them now hesitated before aggression. The story of Elian and of human restraint and protection spread like a quiet flame through the stars. Vashir turned to Selira, his expression solemn. "We came to mourn," he said. "We leave with understanding. Humans do not act like the galaxy expects. They act like guardians." Selira placed her hand on the crystal. "And they will continue to guard life, long after we return to our world. Our child's memory lives in their actions, in their choices, and in the lives they protect." John and Lisa walked among the trees and tokens, quietly observing the ceremony of care. No words were needed. Humans had shown the Velari and the galaxy a new kind of strength, one measured not by the power to destroy, but by the ability to protect, to act with wisdom, and to turn grief into hope. And as the night deepened, the crystal glowed brighter than ever, reflecting the first true understanding between humans and the Velari. A child lost had inspired something far greater than anger or revenge. It had inspired guardianship, restraint, and a new measure of strength that the galaxy would never forget. Months passed, and the galaxy began to notice the change humans had brought. News traveled fast between star systems. Humans did not send fleets to conquer. They did not claim planets or resources. Instead, they acted to protect life. Children, civilians, and even former enemies found safety under human watch. The story of Elian spread as a symbol of hope, and the Velari shared it widely. John Carter and Lisa Morrow visited multiple star systems with the Velari elders, showing them the results of human action. Planets once devastated by conflict now had safe zones where children could play, schools could operate, and families could live without fear. Humans had built hospitals, water stations, and shelters. They trained civilians in basic defense and emergency care, ensuring that no one was helpless in times of danger. Vashir watched quietly as a small Velari child ran freely through a protected park, holding a human girl's hand. They laughed together, unaware of the political boundaries or past conflicts. "We thought humans were reckless," Vashir said softly. "We thought they acted only in anger. Now we see they act with purpose and care. They protect life as if it were sacred." Selira nodded, looking at the crystal of Elian, which glowed softly in the center of a small garden built on a neutral planet. "Our child's memory inspired them," she said. "But humans did more than honor one life. They changed the rules of the galaxy." In the council chambers of multiple systems, human diplomats spoke. Emma Brooks, with calm authority, explained the new standards. Children and civilians must never be used as tools of politics or war. Those who endangered the innocent would face humans' decisive action. The message was simple but clear. No threats, no attacks, just firm, controlled protection. The Velari elders attended these meetings, often sitting quietly and observing. The reactions of other species varied. Some were amazed, some were fearful. A few were angry, feeling challenged by humans' restraint and power. But none could deny the truth. Humans acted in a way the galaxy had never seen. Their strength was not in fleets or weapons alone, but in the protection of life and the wisdom to use power carefully. John and Lisa guided the Velari through the systems. They visited schools where children of all species learned together. They watched doctors treat sick aliens, engineers repair damaged ships, and families rebuild homes. Every act, no matter how small, reflected humans' philosophy. Life is to be protected, sorrow is to be transformed into action, and power is measured by what you save, not what you destroy. Vashir approached John one evening on a quiet terrace overlooking a star-filled sky. "We have returned home many times after wars, after battles, after losses," he said. "We have carried grief, anger, and pride. Never have we seen a species turn grief into action in this way. Humans have shown us what true strength is." John smiled. "We learned from sorrow," he said. "From Elian, grief can guide action. Loss can inspire protection. The galaxy is full of life and all life matters. When we act to protect, we change the future." Selira joined them, placing her hand gently on a small sapling planted in Elian's memory. "Our child's death brought pain," she said softly, "but it also brought hope. Humans have shown us that even in loss, life can continue and others can be saved." Over time, humans' reputation grew. Species that once ignored or underestimated humans began to seek their guidance. Wars were prevented because humans intervened before conflicts escalated. Alliances adjusted their behavior, knowing that humans would respond decisively to protect the innocent. No one questioned humans' power, but many were surprised by their restraint and clarity. The Velari elders traveled back to their home world, carrying stories of human action. They shared the lessons with their people. Grief can guide us, sorrow can inspire us, and protecting the innocent is the highest form of strength. Velari children played in safe zones modeled after humans' designs. Parents learned that restraint and protection could be more powerful than revenge and aggression. John and Lisa returned to the memorial garden one final time. The crystal of Elian glowed brightly, surrounded by the trees, stones, and tokens left by humans and Velari alike. Children played nearby, laughing and learning, unaware of the past tragedy. John knelt beside the crystal, placing a small stone he had painted himself. "Your memory has changed the galaxy, Elian," he whispered. "Through sorrow, we found action. Through loss, we found hope." Lisa joined him, smiling at the children. "And humans will continue," she said. "We will continue to protect, to guide, and to honor life. The galaxy will remember because it must." Vashir and Selira stood nearby, watching. "We came to mourn our child," Selira said, her voice quiet but full of understanding. "We leave with understanding, hope, and respect. Humans do not act as the galaxy expects. They act as guardians." Vashir nodded, eyes on the glowing crystal. "They protect life, honor loss, and guide sorrow into action. This is strength beyond any weapon. Humans have changed the rules of the galaxy." As night fell, stars shone brighter than ever. Across distant systems, reports arrived of humans protecting children from dangerous planets, assisting civilians during natural disasters, and resolving conflicts without unnecessary bloodshed. Stories of Elian's memory inspired others to act with care and wisdom. The galaxy began to shift, slowly but surely, guided by humans' example. Even former enemies began to respect humans. They feared their decisive action, yes, but more than fear, they admired the restraint and clarity. Humans had shown that strength could be measured not by what you destroy, but by what you save. Entire star systems began to implement human-style protection protocols. Children played freely in zones where humans monitored safety. Parents trusted humans to guard their young. Peace became possible in places where it had been unthinkable. The Velari returned to the memorial garden one last time before leaving the neutral planet. Celira touched the crystal softly. "We will carry this lesson home," she said. "Humans have taught us that grief can be transformed. Sorrow can be a force for life," Vashir added, "and the galaxy will remember. Humans act not for pride or conquest but for life itself. Harming a child means facing humanity, and humanity acts with justice and care." John and Lisa watched the Velari depart. No words were spoken. None were needed. The lesson had been shared. Grief had been transformed into action. Sorrow had become strength. And the galaxy, though slow to learn, would remember the day humans honored life, defended the innocent, and changed everything forever. As the Velari ships disappeared into the stars, the memorial garden remained, glowing softly under the twin moons of the neutral planet. Children played around the crystal, humans and aliens alike, laughing and learning. The saplings grew tall, and small stones and drawings marked the space. Elian's memory was alive, not just in grief, but in the actions of humans and all who had witnessed the change. The galaxy, once indifferent or dismissive of humans, now knew a truth that could not be ignored. Humans do not fight for power alone. They do not act recklessly. They grieve deeply, and they turn grief into protection. They act with care, restraint, and wisdom. Harming the innocent brings not chaos, but deliberate and overwhelming response. And so, the story of Elian and of humanity spread across the stars. It was not just a tale of sorrow, but of hope, courage, and change. Children everywhere of all species learned that someone was watching over them. Someone would act if they were endangered, and that someone was humanity. In the quiet moments when the memorial crystal glowed softly in the garden, it reminded all who saw it. Life is precious, grief can guide action, and one species, through understanding and restraint, could change the galaxy forever. The Velari elders returned home, changed themselves, carrying stories of humans who turned mourning into protection. Humans continued their work, quietly guarding the innocent across countless systems. And the memory of Elian became a symbol for every species. Harming a child meant facing humans, and humans acted to protect life with unmatched strength, wisdom, and care. The galaxy was forever changed, not by war, not by conquest, but by the quiet, deliberate actions of humans. Grief had become a force for good. Sorrow had become a shield for life. And the child Elian, who had once been lost, had sparked a transformation that would echo through the stars for generations.